So I'm replacing my rear seat with a Bestop Trailmax fold and tumble seat. So first step of getting the old rear bench seat out is to just remove 4 bolts. And already got this first one, the far right front one you can see is gone. All you have to do is on the front ones at least, is hold those nuts. There's a nut underneath the truck that you got to get to. So you may have noticed that I'm doing this with my rear gas tank removed. I took it off to get to my seat belt bolts here, and in the process I damaged it, and I wanted a 25 or 23 gallon tank anyway, so getting that gas tank out was not too bad, but I'm taking the opportunity to put in a new rear seat because I know it's going to be tricky getting to the mounting bolts. So there's the nut underneath, and one of the tricks I like to do when I need a second hand is just put a pair of vice grips on it, and as it starts to swing and turn, it'll hit typically a frame rail or something and stop. So we got the first one out here. Problem is I can't find the second set of bolts that are closer to the rear. I can't find where they come through, and they're spinning, so I may have to just cut them off. So using the vice grips on these rear bolts did not work out. So all else fails, break out the angle grinder or side cutter, whatever you want to call it. So I cut those bolts off with it. Had to take my guard off. Don't recommend it, but had to get under the seat. So I went with the Bestop Trailmax 2 fold and tumble. I like the spice color. It's they make 2 different models, so get the one that's the 40-inch width. It's that 39435 part number. The earlier ones aren't quite as wide. There's the old seat, and if you're curious, Bestop is made in, wait for it, Malaysia. I was trying to find something that wasn't made in China. I had these Bestop seats in my Jeep CJ7. Really like the fabric, so I just went with the all vinyl seat. So here's the 2 seats side by side. They are both right at 41. So for the old seat, it's right at 41 across the armrest. The new seat, the Bestop Trailmax 2, it's right at 41 across the bottom bolsters there. So I was kind of torn. I really wanted to keep the original. I do have kids that'll be riding in this thing, so I like the added safety of the headrest, and they are adjustable, so you know they come up, and it's well made. So those are nice, plus the fact that you get your fold and tumble function. That's pretty key. I've already been to Lowe's a few times with this Bronco, and been tough fitting everything in. Also a mat pocket in the back, which is kind of cool. It's just a zipper pocket. You can put stuff in it. So here it is in the truck. I haven't bolted it down yet, and I don't have the front brackets on, but you can see it's tight to the wheel wells. It's actually touching a little bit. So I think I'd rather have it like that than otherwise. But it is snug. You do have these bumpers that are going to hit. I think they hit about the right spot on these raised parts. Okay, so back to the rear bracket. So this is what I decided to do. Since I already have the fuel tank out and I have easy access, I'm actually going to mount. I flipped the bracket around. I did have it like so. But I'm going to go ahead and mount it like this, and that way my bolt heads will be recessed from under the truck. I'll come up with the bolts, and they'll be recessed in this channel, so there's no chance of it rubbing against the gas tank once I put it back on. So since I'm already under there, it's just going to be easier to do that. So that's my solution. So this is what it looks like with the passenger side front bracket installed. It does go on the lower pin, and there's a groove to put there's a C-clip that fits in here that comes with the hardware. It's actually stapled to the front of the directions. So that'll fit in this groove right here, and then that pin actually hits the bracket. So when you tumble your seat, that's what stops it. I had an issue getting this bushing over the pin. It was really tight, so I just took a deep socket, a little bit bigger than the bushing, and tapped it on with a hammer. And once I got started, it went on pretty easy, but it was difficult to get on there by hand. This gives you an idea where the front brackets will fall, and you will need to put something down in the lower part of the floor pan. It's about a 1/4 inch recess there. Just to give you an idea, you still have plenty of room up front. So, you know, you probably got a good 10 inches there. Just FYI. So once you get your front brackets on, I measured my original seat. It came 5 inches in front of the forward bolt hole, so I'm gonna position it the same as the original seat. And so you can see the front of this bracket's about level with the front of the seat. Your brackets are gonna fall in this lower part of the floor pan here, and then we'll need to put something in there to build it up, but the same thing on the other side. So if you go off the original seat position, I said it was 5 inches from the front bolt hole. Ends up being about 18 3/4 inches to the back, or right at 19 inches. That's close for your original seat position. It should give you enough. It will give you enough once you fold and tumble. Alright, so I got it mounted finally. I did do this setup for the rear bracket, and what I did underneath was a couple fender washers, and that is a 1 inch 3/8 inch bolt, grade 8. And then for these brackets, I had to do a pack of 4 3/8 inch washers between the bottom of the black bracket and the floor to get that spacing right. And I did use 1 1/4 inches in the front, 1.5 inches in the back. You could use 1 1/4 inches all the way around. It's just I had trouble getting the nut started on the back one for some reason. But it works great. And there we go. So I like it overall, and yeah, got a couple holes in the floor I need to fill in from the old brackets, but worked out good.